Hello there.
And welcome to James and the Frames. This last week has been huge for Star Wars fans. A ton of new shows and movies were announced, and I couldn't be more excited for the direction Lucasfilm is taking with live-action material. That itself is a discussion topic for another day, but in this video I'd like to discuss probably the most anticipated show out of all the ones that were announced, the Obi-Wan Kenobi Miniseries, which will star Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen as both Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader, not Anakin Skywalker. And I like that they're specific about that, because the moment Anakin lost to Obi-Wan on Mustafar and was engulfed by the flames of the dark side, he became Darth Vader. Besides the awesome news that these two will be working together again, we also got some insight on how their characters will interact in the show. One quote in particular interests me quite a bit.
This will be the rematch of the century.
I've seen different reactions about this particular comment, some being skeptical and others being oh so hyped for what the outcome will be. I myself am over the moon.
That's no moon.
But I also understand how some people may be confused by the news, which is why I'm here to explain how Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader meeting and possibly dueling again before the events of A New Hope is going to be absolutely incredible and will expand on their characters even more. First of all, I know that adding things to the Star Wars timeline makes certain scenes in the movies seem a little strange. A prime example being how in Episode 3 Anakin's saying to Dooku,
My powers have doubled since the last time we met, Count.
Makes sense if you've only seen Episode 2, but if you also watched the Clone Wars, the line loses a bit of its weight, being that it probably wasn't over a couple weeks since Anakin and Dooku last dueled in the show. With those scenarios in mind, I can totally understand how Vader and Obi-Wan meeting and even dueling again could lessen the impact of their duel in Episode 4. The lines of dialogue,
I've been waiting for you, Obi-Wan. We meet again at last. The circle is now complete. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
means so much when you take into account their final duel in Episode 3. However, there is one other line that I never really picked up on all that much until now.
You should not have come back.
I am certain that this line will be given a deeper meaning in the Obi-Wan miniseries. I don't really see how it relates to the events of Episode 3. Maybe I'm missing something. But what I think might happen is that through their encounter in the miniseries, there'll be a close call. Some event that has Obi-Wan escaping by the skin of his teeth, or maybe even coming close to being killed by Vader, that would make him not want to face Vader again, losing almost complete faith in his ability to bring Anakin back. This also isn't the Obi-Wan we know from Revenge of the Sith. We're about 9 years away from the events of A New Hope. He's still probably using his Clone Wars fighting style or practicing his other stance that he uses in Rebels and A New Hope, but it's definitely going to be a little rusty after 10 years in the desert. Vader, on the other hand, is in his prime. He's had more than enough time to adjust to his suits and to master his fighting style. If any of you guys have watched Scene 38 Reimagined, think that Vader. You should not have come back sounds similar to the "then you will die" line from Rebels. The way Vader almost mockingly says those lines after the people who believed in him most, from Vader's perspective now enemies, pretty much sacrifice themselves and become easy prey, and he uses their compassion to his advantage. Basically, to put it in simple terms, Obi-Wan would underestimate Vader's power, and it's quite possible that he could get beaten physically and of course emotionally during a duel with this Vader. However, it doesn't necessarily have to be a lightsaber duel. It can also be a psychological duel. There is one more line that Vader says during Return of the Jedi that can most definitely be given some context with the Obi-Wan series.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
This could be referring to Obi-Wan trying to bring Anakin back to the light side during the events of the miniseries, possibly through conversations in the Force. And we'd be able to hear Anakin's real human voice instead of Vader's deep electronic one, or Hayden Christensen's voice and not James Earl Jones' voice. I feel like their conversations would play out like Rey and Kylo's in The Last Jedi, but with just their voices. And also like how in Colin Trevorrow's Duel of the Fates, Kylo was haunted by Luke's Force Ghost. It could be the same for Vader and Obi-Wan, more so Vader, again through a conversation in the Force. The psychological toll it could take on the both of them would be incredibly profound, with Vader regretting his decisions like betraying the Jedi Order and failing to save Padme, becoming more and more resentful, and Obi-Wan feeling more hopeless and desperate to get his old friend back. Because you have to keep in mind that it wasn't easy at all for Obi-Wan to leave his old friend to die, nor to see his other friends and basically his entire religion wiped out by that same person. They both share feelings of resentment and guilt, and they're both tormented by them, albeit in different ways. What the Obi-Wan show can absolutely do is flesh out the psychological state of these characters, whether it be through the Force or through a physical confrontation. That's also one of the reasons why The Clone Wars is so good, because it fleshes out the relationship between Anakin and Obi-Wan, and this new series could explore the relationship between Obi-Wan and Vader. That's what I'm most excited about. I'd love to hear what you guys want to see in the Obi-Wan series, and if you'd like me to talk more about this show or any other upcoming Star Wars show, I'd be happy to. I wanted to make another Star Wars video because 1, I love talking about Star Wars, and 2, the best performing video on the channel is my Duel of the Fates explanation video. If you want to check it out, I'll link it here and in the description. I talk about Dave Filoni's brilliant explanation of the importance of the Duel of the Fates, and I also give my 2 cents about it as well. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you after the credits.